This is Noah Schechter, writer of episode 510, The Informant. You're listening to the Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
If I'm the angel on this shoulder of the podcast, then Aaron is clearly the devil on the other. Welcome to the award-winning Blacklist Exposed. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I am Agent Aaron Peterson, and I hope you're ready for a party, guys, because at some point, I will be introducing a well-placed cork into this podcast. I won't say when, but it's coming. It's for you, Craig. Thanks for joining us once again as we discuss number 118 on the Blacklist, The Informant, written by Noah Schechter and directed by Paul Holohan. Boy, that must have been fun in school. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com.
At least you got his name right. Last week, we asked all of you to tell us, what do you think about these standalone episodes? Do you like them, or do you just like your numbers?
And the results are in, and 81% say, give me more of them. Give me more, where 19% said, just stick with the numbers.
All right, so the 80% have it. That means no more numbers from here on out.
That means 19% are like, you guys suck. That's what I read. And in addition, we've got some specific comments on that. You want to talk about those?
Sure.
We'll do that.
Yeah, Melissa said, give me more Requiem and Cape May that tells me stuff.
Anita Luango says, exactly. I love the non-numbers here and there because they show the fragilities or strengths of the characters. Plus, they give us pieces of the backstory we so desperately want to know.
Maybe Aaron's the angel and I'm the devil because he's got two names in a row. It's a streak.
You're welcome.
Ellen Purdy, so far, I have really enjoyed the non-numbered episodes, although I would prefer that they be filled with mythology. While I enjoyed watching the kick-ass Liz and Ruin, I was very disappointed that Ruin didn't have much mythology in it.
And lastly, Mark Roberts. Oh, hi, Mark. I love Blacklist, period. This show is so strong and character-driven. Oh, my God. Or I'm saying OMG, which I believe is oh, my God. It's just great. Spader is God, LOL. All right. Somebody's a fan.
Just make sure you be careful worshiping that calf. All right. Next week,
dun, 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 dun.
We will be having another profiling question because we're on a roll on our way to the 100th episode. So we want to know from all of you, what do you think was in that secret envelope that Cooper handed Ressler?
What's his confession?
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm excited. What do I think? We're going to talk about that later. Why don't you hold tight?
Okay, we don't want to give away the goods up front.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Well, before all our cash goes up in flames, let's go ahead and get to this week's case profile.
Can I just say how much I love New Liz, or what is it? Atomic Liz? You know how much I love Atomic Liz? She's great. I just want to start with that.
But I thought you were going with Katniss Everkeen. You're going to change it up, get a new movie in every week? Is that the plan?
Yeah, basically that's how I do things, man. Okay. That's just what I am. So this week it's Atomic Liz, and we'll go from there.
Next week it'll be Wonder Liz.
Because that would be a good thing. That wouldn't be dark. That would be a good thing. Wonder Woman is amazing. All right, in a good way, very positive. Not running around killing people and dragging them around the barrio. So. We begin this episode with a young woman just trying to have a fun night out when her boss calls her and ruins it by demanding that she book her a flight home immediately. That woman never makes it because she dies horribly with everyone else in the club. Now, Troy, this has come up several times. I want to ask you before I move on to the rest of the general crux of the story. I love that word if you've ever listened before. Some people were saying, did that nightclub have anything to do with the rest of the episode? What say you?
I say sort of. I figured it out after the third time watching it to try to see how it all tied together. In a nutshell, terrorists torched the club or gassed the club, whatever you want to call it. And those terrorists then had assets. They wanted to freeze those terrorist funds. So basically another group came in and said, hey, we're going to find out who those terrorists were. We're actually going to steal the money before they can freeze it and give it to somebody completely different to fund more terrorism in a different way.
Sounds right. So
if you were still confused, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, I'm still confused. 57 people died in that nerve gas attack. The U.S. Treasury froze bank accounts, and the informant accessed those accounts, and he will ransom them back to the account holders, giving them time to get their assets before the money is gone. Okay, so that's the basic plot. So that's a summation of what you said, I think. And, this episode was very character driven, so we're just going to knock the rest of this out really quick. Aram figures, he knocks it down to this guy named Howard Bishop, bringing him in. Bishop claims to be a hit and run witness when the list was stolen. Then it turns out he was having an affair with a married judge, Sonia Fisher, or was he? Turns out it all ties into Prescott. And we find out ultimately Red was using this one to flush out Ressler's interests. Now, in terms of the overall story, now all the characters we're going to come back into play, because if you've never listened before, we always break down the characters. But the story was actually very thin, I thought, this week, but still a great episode because it was so character driven. Do you agree or disagree?
I totally agree. I think that it was interesting to see that we finally get back to the Ressler Prescott storyline. We didn't know if that was going to be a hanging Chad that just kind of sits out there with some of the other stuff. But no, we're right back in it. Prescott's up first after the big ruin episode. And I love the fact that it was a blacklister in a way, because the informant is the title of the episode, but Prescott, I think, really is the blacklister of this episode, because Red is trying to flush him out in order to see how deep Ressler is in, and he's in real deep doo-doo at this point. And I love the fact that this just brings Ressler and Red back together, because if you're longtime fans of the show, you know that Ressler and Red didn't start off on such a great relationship back in season 1 because of the time that Ressler spent tracking Red. So to see the two of these guys bonding once again kind of gives you that Anselo Garrick in the box kind of feeling again. And I just love that between the two of these guys. I think it's fun to see Ressler and Red together.
I don't know, man. Bonding might be a stretch. It felt like a one-way street, a one-way bonding street. Red's like, oh, hey, Ressler, you're cool. I like the way you think. Ressler's just over there going, yeah, I don't want to hang out with you, but I need your help. So thanks for that.
Be happy to steal your liquor, though.
Yeah, he took the whole bottle. What kind of some bitch takes some guy like a whole bottle of your liquor? That ain't cheap.
Somebody that's wrestling with some stuff and is an addict.
Wrestling. I get it. Maybe that's where the name came from. It's like, we're going to have a guy and he's going to wrestle with a bunch of stuff.
He's got some issues. So I don't know if that's going to throw back to the addict storyline or not, because I know people didn't like the addict storyline, but that was the first thing I thought of when he took the whole bottle.
Well, that's the first thing I thought of too, but we're going to get there. We're coming to Ressler, so hold tight. Let's get into characters, and first off, we always start with music.
Yeah, we kick off the show in a club to the sounds of Alex Smith, Joe Henson, and Oliver Dalston, and their collaboration, Nightlife. It's a killer tune for sure.
Whoa. That was a dad joke of an epic scale. It was a killer tune, wasn't it?
The sad part is you laughed.
It wasn't a good laugh, man. It was a very mocking laugh. What it was, very condescending. It was very rude and arrogant.
It was the dry ice that killed everybody. Then toward the end of the episode, when Red decides to take care of Prescott once and for all, we hear Gracie and Rachel's Upside Down as those secret envelopes are passed between Cooper and Ressler. So as you know, you can always hear these tunes on the official playlist for the Blacklist on Spotify, or you can check out the same playlist curated by us, technically me, because Aaron doesn't believe in Apple Music, but it is on Apple Music as well. You can find links to both of those over on theblacklistexposed.com inside the case profile for The Informant.
I do believe in Apple Podcasts, if that helps. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Spotify guy. I got Spotify. I don't need both.
I understand.
Doesn't feel like you do. I feel like you were saying that like I'm against the man or something.
No, I pay for the Apple Music side and I just listen to Spotify for free.
So you steal it?
No.
Or do you deal with ads? Is that what you do?
I just deal with the ads, yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Can't do ads. I can't do it for Blacklist either. All right, so we're moving on to the rest of the characters. We've got Ian or Ian Garvey. Yeah, I'm still gonna throw both names out because I'm still not convinced. But he's got a lady friend, and he's tipped off that Liz is back. He's only got one scene, and he'll handle things on his end. Whatever that means, just put a shirt on.
Dear God,
that's
please.
all I'm asking.
Please.
It's not a good look, Bubba. I'm not digging it. A wife beater? That's so 1988. Really?
I guess I got to go put a shirt on now.
You wear a wife beater? Okay. It's called a wife beat. It's a bad name, therefore it's a bad shirt. That's the way I look at it.
I don't like my arms being covered, that's all.
You mean when you put a shirt over it that's not covering your... Okay, we could have an all-night debate on this. So what do you think handling things on his end means?
I think he has a larger network of people. It didn't seem... When you get towards the end of the episode with Navarro, I don't feel like Navarro is a a member of Ian Garvey's inner circle all the time. It seems like he just comes in and does jobs when Ian Garvey needs him to be there.
Mm-hmm. He's
It's
a contractor?
It's kind of how I felt about it. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, well, yeah. And it feels like he needs Liz to play out his end, which is interesting because, I mean, obviously that would mean that he's been working on his end for a year.
Yeah, that's true.
Feels like a stretch. That's a long con or the long game, whatever it is.
And if he's had the suitcase from the Bones for a year, you don't think he would act on that and do something with it? Why would he just sit on that for a year and wait for Reddington to show back up again?
Well, we don't know that he hasn't, but I will say I have full confidence they've already they've already considered this as an option. So it will come up at some point and we'll have a better understanding.
That I agree with.
I think you're just early. We're still early in this. Because you got to remember, this is really only the first episode back.
True.
But,
yes.
You know. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, we had Ruin, which was a Liz-centric episode, but that really was just all about Liz. It didn't really go into all the other stuff that happened in the time frame that we've missed, the missing time, which we've got some cool stuff. So we'll get into that. See, I don't know what his ultimate game is, but I'm sure better come back to the Bones because I've been waiting to find out something about those Bones for a while. A long while. Now it feels like a year and a half.
At least.
Feels like a year and a half. Okay. Cooper, the angel on her shoulder while Red is the devil. I like that line. And Red asks him to help her navigate those waters. Do you think he's going to be able to navigate those waters with her?
Well, clearly not. If he's got a secret envelope too. He's just as shady, right?
Well, maybe. We don't know what the confession is. Do you think Ressler's shady?
Well, he did some shady stuff.
That's not what I asked you. Do you think he's a shady person?
Well, that's the ultimate question here, right? Because if Red is supposedly the Mexican fish, can I see the light if I recognize it again? Can he get back to being the good person that he is? Or is he... the judge even asks him that, right? When they confront the judge in her apartment in this episode. Like, have you ever been a decent man? And he kind of just does the head nod thing and doesn't really answer.
Come back to Cooper. I'm on Cooper. We're not at Ressler yet.
Well, no. Just in comparison to Red, I think that all of this is an allegory or a correlation, and I'm not sure which one it would be, but it all goes back into how Red is a bad person, but could he be good? So the question there is Cooper a good person or is he inherently bad? I think Cooper is inherently good. I think Ressler is inherently good. They might have done some bad things, but for the most part, they are on the side of the light. So yes, long-winded answer to say Cooper is good.
Man, you ain't kidding here. There's like 2 minutes. You could just, you know what? Cooper's good. I would agree with you. See what I did there? It was pretty succinct. He does know Ressler's wrong, which I found funny and interesting. And he also seems to know that he's dirty or he's been doing wrong things. I don't really understand why he wouldn't have called him out sooner on it then.
Because if I'm your superior, I mean, you're in management, I'm in management. If I'm your superior, I think I'm giving you just enough leash to see if you can rise to the occasion and do the right thing, or if you'll truly hang yourself before you have to intervene. And then that's the question of how soon do you intervene? Because I know that a lot of times, it's like mom and dad, right? Mom and dad know you did something wrong. You could try to hide it as best you can. You can lie your way out of it the best you can, but they always know. And I feel like this was kind of the thing. We talked about this back at the start of the season when Cooper was kind of giving Ressler the nth degree in the office. Like, does he actually know? Is he just suspicious? I think he knew that there was some nefarious involvement. He just didn't have the full scope of it. And that's why even in this episode, he says to Ressler, hey, I could pretty much guess what's in here, but I'm just going to hang on to it for now.
I had a hard time with that part of it because I'm sitting here going, okay, wait, you knew that and you didn't say anything at any point sooner? You knew that he was probably feeding someone else information. You weren't concerned about that. You didn't brief Samar, who's in the field with him. You just were that confident that he was going to do the right thing, even though you knew he was doing illegal things. That part, I mean, it really feels like there's been a couple times this season where Cooper hasn't really felt like Cooper. And this is one of them. to a degree. I mean, it ended up being Cooper-esque because he's like, hey, I got your confession. I'll do it only at the end. You take my confession. So I do want to confess. I want to do the same thing as you. I want to do the right thing. But it's that whole, I had an indication that for a while that you've been doing something. That doesn't feel like Cooper to me.
Well, he could have just said, I had an indication that you've been doing something just from the events of this episode too. Yeah, he
could have. Yeah, very well. It could have been, but it really felt the fact that he had his confession already, and he's like, "Hey, I got my letter too," which ironically looks like the same envelope. So apparently they have the same stationery plans, and
the government buys in bulk.
He just seemed ready to go, and that was a little. I don't know. I just felt. I mean, the moment worked for me. This scene works for me great, but I did stop, take a step back, and go, all right, that's the second or third time in the season where I'm like, I don't know if that really feels like Cooper, but okay. Well, they gotta make some. It's been a while since we saw him last. Maybe things have changed.
Well, I think the big thing there too is that I don't know if he's saying that he knew the whole scope of it, right? I think maybe he had more. Like he's like, I know what was going on with the fact that you accidentally killed Hitchens. I think that's more what he was referring to of what he knew. I don't think he knew the full scope of like Prescott and his involvement with Prescott and the other things he was doing to throw his team off the lead and things of that nature. I think he was specifically referring to Hitchens is the way I read the scene.
Well, they do, after they have their little talk, they both acknowledge that they are different men than they were when they started. Cooper says that they all are. They are all different from where they started. Do you agree with that? Is there anybody, because I would say Aram, I mean, maybe he's a little bit more confident and he wants to do a little bit more in the field, but that feels more like job development, not so much he as a character has changed. I think he as a character is basically the same.
Well, the key word there is that we're all a little bit different before this all started, before Reddington. Mm-hmm. Aram might be job development, but at the same time, he isn't job developing this quickly if it wasn't for Reddington showing up. I think that's the difference. It's the Reddington involvement that has escalated the movement of these characters and what they're willing to and not willing to do. I mean, Samar, in a lot of ways, is pretty much the same type of person, I think, because she's still, by the book, straightforward, do the right thing. She had some gray area when she was dealing with, oh my gosh, what was her Israeli boyfriend's name? When she had that one episode.
Deuce Bigelow's boyfriend?
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Typecaster.
That's how I know him. Deuce Bigelow's boyfriend. Or the guy from The Mummy.
Or the guy from Covert Affairs.
There you go.
But when they were dealing with that, I mean, yeah, so Samar maybe not as developed as some of the other characters in their swing from where they were previously. But at the same time, Samar's still in play and she's still at the FBI. She hasn't gone back to whatever life she had before. So that is a little bit different for her since the Reddington got involved.
All right, well, let's use that as a nice little segue to Aram. He didn't have a lot to do this episode. Of course, he found Howard Bishop, but outside of that, he didn't do much. But he was able to go along with Samar to the judge's house, right?
Yeah, like Cooper says, take Agent Mojdabai with you.
So does that mean that he passed his field training? I assume so, but
that's kind of how I took it. I mean, he was on that original one where they were tailing the informant, where Ressler was following him, and Samar was there, and then they're talking over the comms about Ressler's immovable hair, which was probably one of the best lines of the night. But he's doing his normal gig, right? He's in the car, just facilitating comms. Here, it seemed like he was actually going to the scene as an agent, especially as he gets out of the vehicle and runs over, looking at obviously the judge's deceased body on the pavement. So my take from that.
Did you say spotty on the pavement?
Yeah, deceased body on the pavement is exactly what it was.
Oh, I thought you said see spotty on the pavement. That was funnier. You should have just held to that.
Well, there was some spotty on the pavement too.
That's why it was funny, but now it's not funny anymore because that's not what you actually said. So it's ruined.
But yeah, to me, it seems like that would mean he's field trained if he can be taken along on these cases instead of staying back and just running point from command.
And he also was pretty excited earlier that, I do whatever it takes to find my husband's killer. Samar says that. She also references, and we're segueing into Samar now, boring, blissful, and domestic. Are they married?
No.
I think they might be married.
No. See, I thought that at first when Liz and Samar were talking to each other.
Did you look at the ring? Did you look for a ring?
I did look for the ring on the second watch show. I did not see one.
Did you look on him or her?
Both.
Because she's in the field, so I could see why she wouldn't have one.
Yeah, I look for both. For me, it was when she said, hey, I would do anything to go after the husband's killer, and there was no comment by Aram, like, oh, that's so sweet, honey. It wasn't until the second time she said that, and then Aram was like, oh, that's really nice. So it makes it think like they're not married yet, because if they were married, he would have commented after the first one versus the second one.
That's weird, because what's it matter if it's the first or second one?
Because the way he responded didn't seem like it was like the husband. It was more like, I can't wait to be her husband someday because she would take care of me.
So if he responds the first time they're married, but if he waits the second time, it's boyfriend?
Yeah.
That's your logic.
That's my logic.
You're actually like committing to that as logic.
Listen to the inflections in his voice as he delivers it.
God, dumb. I don't even understand that logic. Ooh, I think they're married. I'm going on the record. I think they're married. And they wouldn't wear rings because they're in the field.
Okay.
Boom. There you go. We're on fight. Blacklist fight. We'll find out soon enough.
Team Aaron, Team Troy. You guys can vote in the Facebook group or on Twitter.
Yep. Let's just make up some stuff. Also, Samar gets a little bit more to do, finally. You know what? I want to go on record. If anybody, if you're a Tom lover, pull back a second. Pull back. Do you notice how much more time the other characters have now? I'm just saying.
It's true. It is true.
That's all I got to say. Okay. Samar. She says she knows something is wrong with Ressler. Very wrong. And takes it to Cooper. Really, I mean, she's not pulling any punches. She really questions her own partner. And I really respected that. First she did it the way you're supposed to do it. She approached the partner first. He said, nothing's wrong. We're all good. Then she went to Cooper. So I really like this aspect of it because it really felt like she's a fully invested agent now.
Well, she's also fully invested because she was also fully invested in Ressler. Don't forget. She kind of knows how he works. Just saying. So they
had sex once. I don't think that means that they had a fully functional, healthy relationship. It was just a passionate night. Not
healthy, but you could still kind of get quirks and stuff from that because they are also working together as partners for a long time. So it's like so she knows he's a little bit moody, and because he's moody, it's not like his male 48th day or something. He's actually trying to hide something, and so that's why she's willing to go to Cooper with it.
His male 40th day?
Yeah, it's male PMS. It's an actual thing.
Is that what you have?
Sometimes.
That would explain a lot.
Sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like it. I feel like she was, because there have been a lot of people who have felt over the years like, hey, in the second season, she was kind of working for Red. Is she still working for Red? What's the deal with Samar? I think that kind of demonstrates that she's really trying to go by the book and trying to be an FBI agent, and that's what I got. I like that she handled it with the appropriate chain of command, I suppose.
But what a great transition, because I think this also gave us an answer to the question that we all had, which was who was working with Red from the task force perspective in Liz's absence. And notice Samar is the one that comes walking into Reddington's place. So given the fact that Reddington had placed Samar into the task force back in season 2 as kind of like a spy, it kind of makes sense that Samar would be the one that's working with him. So I thought that was quite interesting. Because we all thought it was going to be Aram with his new field.
Is that a new character?
It's so hard. Oh my God. Why did they make them the same?
I know. Amir and Aram. Couldn't you just tell Rama? Like just turn it backwards or something so it's easier to differentiate.
We thought that Aram was going to be that new person because of the field agent training. Like he would be the one because he has this relationship with Reddington because of everything that happened in season 3. So I just thought that, hey, it'd be Aram, but no, it's his pseudo wife.
Because there's more opportunity for characters to grow. Ressler. Let's move on to Ressler. He is a white knight after all. I must say I was impressed with how this was handled. I guess he did ride this Prescott train for years, so I don't know how many times he had to intervene before. But I personally was very happy with how everything played out in this episode, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But Ressler, he's tailing Bishop, who is the informant, gets a call from Prescott telling him to have his team stand down or he will rat him out. Ressler brings Bishop in anyway. He brings him in the way that he was supposed to, regardless of the consequences. Then he has a little tit for tat with Prescott, where Prescott pressures him and says Frank Sturgeon is a crooked cop, and we found out Internal Affairs was tracking him down. But Ressler is ultimately sick of it. So in this episode, he doesn't want to be a dirty cop. He doesn't want to be that guy. So he decides he will arrest him, and he will let the pieces fall where they may, even if it means he goes to jail. And all because I'm in the darkness, and doing the right thing is the only way I'll feel the light again. I was so worried that it was going to be one of those things where he felt, that Prescott plays with him for a little while longer, and maybe he ends up killing him. And then basically you get Ressler becoming a character we don't recognize anymore. I was really, really concerned about that. Once they introduced the storyline earlier in the season, I'm so glad it didn't happen that way. And he put his foot down, and he finally said, you know what? I'm willing to face up to the consequences. I'm willing to face up to what I have done, and I'm going to do the right thing, and I will not be this guy. I really love that was handled that way.
I do too, because Donald's always been the Boy Scout. So to have him completely diverge and go a completely different way would have been, I think, detrimental to how we view Ressler in the scope of the show. Mm-hmm. So I think it was really great just to get this kind of knocked out. We thought maybe the Prescott thing would last a little bit longer because we did get a lot of it in the first half of the season. So I'm kind of glad it just was a one and done kind of thing. This was a nice way to, nip that in the bud, wrap this up in a nice little bow, and then we can move on with Ressler going back to being Ressler and partnering up with Samar since Liz isn't back yet.
And I have had a few people say, well, Liz is going against character type and Ressler's going against character type. I wouldn't agree with that. This episode, to me, showcased their following the way that their characters have been. Liz has always been kind of a wild animal in some respects. I mean, she stabs Red in the first episode, which is kind of against protocol, last I heard.
Yeah.
Ressler, on the other hand, has been a goody two-shoes up until the accidental death where he found himself trapped. So to me, I think the characters are still holding to the way that they've always been written. I don't feel like there's any betrayal of character for either one.
Neither. Yeah. And we're not Liz yet, but yeah, she's just doing the profiling stuff that she's always done. She might be doing it with weird alternative motives, but really she's still the same profiler.
She's cool as hell is what she is.
Exactly.
All right. Still with Ressler a little bit. The judge does lead them to Mitchell Hatley. He is
I hate that guy.
The guy that plays him?
No, just I hate the character.
Oh, Prescott. You hate Prescott.
I hate Prescott. Okay. You know why?
Because he's a Patriots fan?
Because he's a freaking Patriots fan.
For those that don't know, Troy is a diehard Packers fan, and he can't appreciate that Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
Tom Brady pays attention to Aaron Rodgers and watches Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's not about Brady just being better. I just think I hate the Patriots. I don't want to see him in the playoffs anymore. It's a time for a new team.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that. I got a feeling they're going to be fine.
I mean, we're in D.C. Let's go, Redskins. Come on. Do it for the Blacklist.
This is what a guy who's bitter his team didn't make it this year. That's what this is. So Ressler does arrest him at his kid's sports ball game. I don't remember what sport it was, but just at the game, just arrest him.
They were playing football.
Was it football?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he had a Patriots jersey. I didn't want to make assumptions. I wasn't really paying attention to the game. I was laughing too hard that I saw the Patriots jersey, and I'm like, Troy's going to love this episode. Yeah. But damn, Donald, you arrested the guy at the kid's game. That's not, well, that's kind of funny.
It was great. Oh, you're the wife. That's nice.
Never thought he'd do that. But we find out ultimately where the episodes end after Mitch is taken out, by Red, which we'll get to in a second. And we find out he won't trade being under his thumb, Prescott's thumb, for Red's. And then he steals Red's liquor. So what do you feel about this? Now we've gotten to the end of his arc. Are you happy with where Ressler is? Do you think it's going to be an addiction storyline, or was it just, I just need to get drunk tonight?
I mean, I love that they go back to the fact that he grabs the bottle because he has that addiction tendency. Because I think that what this does is it solidifies that he's a good guy, but at the same time, he's still wrestling with the fact that he isn't fully clean. He didn't completely, A, he couldn't turn in his resignation. B, the case file is missing. C, Red's going to come calling on a favor because that's what Red does. from all the time that he knows from chasing him for, whatever, how many years he was on the task force prior to the post office starting up. So I think for him, he's still trapped in this kind of limbo in his mind. And I think that's where the drinking is going to come into play. And maybe that plays into a larger story for the back half of the season.
I want to come back to the interest in Ressler, but I'm going to save that because we're going straight to Red. So here's what we learned now that we're finally back with Red a little bit. It's been a while. He's got a new houseboy named Paris who could make an absinthe cocktail that could blind an elephant. He learns that rich is a privilege, and he's learned to love it, which I thought was pretty funny. But the biggest thing we learned is he's got some money again. He is cash rich. Herman is a banker that Red needs to move his money and track info on some accounts that he's working on with the task force. But we learned he has mid 9 figures. That's a lot of cash. Are you surprised at that, or do you think that was a bluff?
No, because I can probably get up about to 9 figures as well if we win the Powerball here any day.
No, mid 9 figures is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot more than Powerball. That's retirement money. I don't know why he's in the business money. Just go to that stupid island and relax, man.
No doubt.
So we finally got some understanding. Like, he's built up his business a lot in the last year. Apparently that mail scam was fantastic. It paid dividends.
Yeah, the Airbnb for criminals.
Yeah, apparently that's how you make some money. So I'm actually thinking about contacting my local post office delivery person and seeing if they want to go into business and work something out.
Why not?
It seems like the thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I know exactly how to do it. I'm not saying that the showrunners are encouraging us to build some kind of relationship with them, but it feels like the United States Post Office has been struggling the last few years. But it's a good plan.
Yeah, they get 10% of the cut. They stay afloat. It's all good.
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to let you guys know how it works out. I might have a boat next week. It's possible. So we move on. That leads to Miss Isaacson. Very, very attractive girl. I actually went, oh, when she showed up. She's a fox in the hen house. Don't let her near the chickens. But here's what I love. She doesn't want money because she's an anarchist, but he could bribe her with a tattoo artist. Weirdest bribe I've ever seen. Weirdest bribe.
And I was trying to figure out if it was the tattoo artist that really tripped her trigger, or if it was the special ink that he could use, or the combination of the two. I
think it's the combination of the two, because as soon as she said that, like, she wasn't willing to give them up the information up for any amount of money or anything else. But this special super duper tattoo artist, who apparently can do a bitch in Yosemite Sam, is worth turning the other cheek and giving it up.
Yeehaw!
I don't think that's yeehaw. I said boy, isn't that? Or is that the wrong one?
No, I can't remember. You're good.
I can't remember which one it is. Anyway, that's a pretty serious artist. I thought that was an odd bribe, but I'll take it because it was funny. It was kind of cool. So moving on to his interest in Ressler. Okay, here's the way I see it. You explained what you thought earlier. I think that Red looks at Ressler as the man he used to be. He looks at Ressler as Ressler got to where he was, and instead of getting back on the right path, Red continued to cross the line. He did what he told him, at some point you're not going to be able to see the light again. And Ressler was able to do that. And I think Red was actually impressed with him because he was able to do that. That's my takeaway. You don't see it that way, though.
Well, I see it that way in that regard. I don't think that Red really had a choice, though. I mean, depending on what do you think Red is, if Red's really the father, Red's the mother, Red's whatever, if his whole purpose in this whole thing was to protect Liz at all costs, then that is motive number one, and you will do whatever you have to do to make that happen. So I don't know if Ressler ever was in the same dynamic where he had something that was so mission critical for him that he could keep going down the dark path. Audrey was probably the closest thing, but since she had already been killed, even if he were to, even if he went like the Liz route where he's trying to avenge Audrey's death, I don't think he'd do that because it's not enough of a motivation for him to continue down the dark path. So it's not apples to apples, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Well, I mean, we don't know. We really don't know. We don't know the full history of Red. So it could very well be an apples to apples comparison. We just don't know. But that's the look I feel like Spader's given in that scene, that the Red is given in that scene. I feel like it's a look of admiration and almost pride that he's making choices that he himself could not make. That's what I saw in that performance.
Or it's actually displaying the fact that since there is a sliver of hope in Ressler's outcome, that, hey, Red, there is a sliver of hope for you as well. Because he, talked to Ressler, like, if I could get back to that, that mountain, that Cuban cigar, the sun kissing my sky, if I could see that light one more time, what would I give for that? So I think maybe this is like the nod back to that to say hope is possible. You just have to figure out how to do it.
I think he genuinely admires Ressler. He hasn't known very many people in his life that have ever, and that could be it too. Maybe it's not an allegory to himself. Maybe it's just he hasn't known that many people in his life that were willing to do that, to go to prison to do the right thing. He hasn't known hardly anybody that's done that. Even Cooper bent, So Ressler's really the one guy that he knows that would do the time, would do the crime and do the time.
Yeah, I mean, Dembe, Kaplan, Katerina, maybe Tom and the Major are like the only people that have like really known Red a long time. Ressler's probably known Red just as long for the amount of time he spent chasing him too. So it almost feels like an adversary turned partner in a way.
Well, Red says that he makes it his business to know Ressler was dirty, or that he was doing these things that he was doing. And this is all a test. This whole episode was basically a test for Ressler, and he passed. So when they meet the judge, they play dirty cop, worst criminal. And we learn that the judge actually made a rape kit for her son's assault victim to go away, which once I heard, I felt bad for her while they're having the conversation. By the end of the conversation, I was so glad she went flying out a window.
Of her own accord, because I think people were confused about that too.
Because she yelled, yeah, you heard her scream, and you're like, why would you scream if she jumped?
Well, she didn't. I think she didn't scream. The lady on the ground who found the dead body before Samar. Before I like questioning myself. That's the real name. Before Samar came up to the side, I think it was the lady on the ground that screamed. She didn't scream when she jumped out the window.
Oh, see, I actually thought she did scream when she jumped out the window. Huh? Good on you. Good on you, Troy.
She's like walking along, and all of a sudden, boom, body falls right on top of her.
Well, you do hear the scream, and I could see why people would be confused because I was too. I really thought she screamed on the way down. The first time I saw it too. So I totally get that. But I wasn't mad that she killed herself after I heard that story. I'm like, that's a really horrible thing, man. It's like, that's a really horrible thing. I'm still mad about it.
Were you kind of hoping that? Like, see, I'm questioning myself now. Were you expecting Samar to look up and see Donald still hanging out the window?
Hang on. What name do you think you're going to have? Like Saram?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saram. I get it. Yeah, I thought she was going to see Donald. I mean, because he was kind of just hanging out there like, hey, what's up, guys? Hey, what's that on the ground? There's a lady on the ground. That's her head. Weird.
You see these curtains over here? Yeah, they're blowing the breeze, but my hair's not.
Because I'll be honest. I mean, I have not had FBI training. But if I heard someone scream and I ran in the room where I knew the lady was and the lady wasn't there anymore and the window was wide open, I would kind of assume that she was dead. And so I would kind of peek because I've seen enough TV shows to know I don't want my face to be the one that witnesses see.
Right.
I would actually probably grab a sheet off the bed, cut a little hole in it, a little pinhole so I could see out of it, put it over my head, and then look out the window.
Nah, I probably would have done that. I came into the room and went, whoa, wait a minute. Just do that slow backup thing. Don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything.
And then go down the stairs to find out, hey, what happened? What happened?
So weird. Hey, Samar, what are you doing here? Huh. Weird. Small world. All right. Now, Red kills Hatley/Prescott, most likely because he's a Patriots fan, I would assume.
I hope so. Because I'm sending Red more money his way to get him to the 10-figure mark.
He couldn't, in his words, he couldn't risk that coming to light. And I just want to point out, we are running out of cleaners, people. There are, I don't know if there are any left.
Yeah, we have the two that Red was using from like the local police force when after he had killed Kaplan in season 4. There was the it wasn't a boyfriend girlfriend, but there was a duo.
Oh yeah. That's right. So they're still on standby, probably.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if they go, then we're in trouble.
Do you think he killed, do you think he killed Prescott for his own reasons or to help Ressler?
I don't think he killed. So we have to be careful, right? Because Red never kills anybody that doesn't deserve it, per his line. So,
that's if you believe it. I don't believe that.
So I think in this case,
that's your logic.
Well, I think in this case, he killed him. I think he killed him because he was not doing Ressler a favor. It was because, hey man, you hurt my boy Ressler, I hurt you. It was kind of more of a vengeance play.
Okay.
I mean, Red's explanation makes sense, right? He's seen me. He understands my connection to you and the task force. Therefore, I had to get rid of him. Otherwise, he would have spilled the beans because obviously he's connected. So, I mean, Red's explanation is actually a great explanation. I totally buy it. But I think his motive for doing it was more, I'm doing this for Ressler.
Yeah, that's kind of what I took from it, was that he was doing it for Ressler. That's what I got, because it does imply that he and Ressler are friends.
Yeah, like, hey, bro, I got your back.
Yeah, I can't picture Red ever saying bro. I really can't. Liz, we are finally on Liz. Yeah, she is the last guest. That's like 2 weeks in a row. Liz is number 1. I got to tell you. And
it's awesome. It's fun. It's great.
Nobody wants to hear this because I know it's against the rules. You can't praise anybody more than Spader. But I really am enjoying Liz. I enjoyed Liz more than Red in this episode.
I did.
Too. Every scene with Red, I was waiting to get to what Liz was doing next. I'm having that blast seeing her run around on a little rampage. I think it's great. She's like Lady Punisher. I love it.
That's a good explanation. I totally buy that. Lady Punisher. Coming in season 3 at Netflix.
She finds some clues. A Damascus knife is the lead clue, as she finally has the names of the men who killed Tom: Wargle, Fishbach, Madigan, JL, Shelley, Navarro. I don't know how she got all these names. Do you know how she got all these names?
Well, it seemed like the detective guy that came in and was talking to her for a cup of coffee, that maybe he had helped put some of this together as she was going through rehab. No, because
she had those names before he showed up.
But remember, he was involved during her rehab period because he had said, hey, I talked to you during your rehab and then you skipped town. You never called, and then you came back and you never called.
I got the vibe that they never really had a serious conversation. But maybe they did. I mean, maybe she's just piecing it together on her own from the information that she had or that she had gathered on her own.
Well, I mean, all those case files had to come from somewhere.
Well, he's not going to give her case files. Those are hers.
She's an FBI agent. Why can't she get the case files and request them from the local authorities?
Because she can't. She's a party of the case. She can't do that.
Okay.
Unless Cooper did it. But to me, I take that as because she's not affiliated with the FBI. So she's doing it. That's her own independent investigation. She invited him in to see what she had already put together and then also see if she can get some more out of him, which she did. She got the tiny piece of information from him. But
do you think that's a problem then, though? Because shouldn't he arrest her for obstructing his case because she's got all this information and all this stuff that she shouldn't have? That's what I'm thinking. That he provided some of it to her at some point.
No, I don't think so. I don't think she's not doing anything illegal, and she is a former FBI agent. I don't know if she's still on the payroll or what, but I don't think that would be a concern. Obstruction of justice is a different story. I think Singleton is just suspicious of Liz because she knows more than she's saying, and he's trying to find out who was it that came in and saved her bum. Right. Because they might have clues that lead to the people that actually killed Tom. And I don't know, but she does get some information about the Nash Syndicate and the Kaufman food and liquor place, which, leads her to Navarro ultimately. But can we talk about how she drags that dude down the alley?
That was so great. Don't you walk away from me.
I freaking loved it, man. Don't walk away from me. And you look pretty athletic in that tracksuit, but I've got a full tank of gas. My favorite line of the whole episode. I rewound it, watched it like 3-4 times. I was in tears. I'm like, that's so funny because she plays it so well. She's just so serious but playful with it, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast with that scene.
I was like, he's like, look, lady, you're in the wrong neighborhood. I was like, please do not point your finger at Liz because you're going to lose that finger.
And then that leads to Pee-wee, or actually no, that guy leads to another guy who then leads to Pee-wee. And she shoots Pee-wee in the leg. Like she's not screwing around, man. She's getting straight. She don't have time.
But remember, Pee-wee pulled on her first.
It doesn't matter. She was willing to shoot him no matter what.
It was self-defense. This is a very clear point because people are like, "Ooh, it's Dark Liz, Dark Liz, Dark Liz." Like he was going to pull the gun on her, so she shot him in the leg as self-defense.
Understood, but I also think she wasn't.
But again, when she's fighting Navarro at the end, he just happens to fall on a glass table. It's not like she purposely stabbed him in the neck with a piece of glass. So it's a very clear distinction here that she is not killing people. The killing is kind of just happening.
Well, I would argue that if you go in there with the intent to extract information through whatever painful means, you're probably culpable.
Well, then that would apply to Cooper when he broke into that place to...
I already said that. I totally agree. I said that's something I don't think is Cooper. This is very Liz-esque. I think she would do this as a character already. The Cooper thing, I don't think Cooper... That felt like a thing Cooper would do.
Unless that's what's in his envelope.
Well, could be.
Maybe he's got habits of that in the past, potentially.
Sure. Anyway, so the bullet hole in the guy in the leg, Pee-wee, leads Liz to... And by the way, what freaking money launderer or whatever, what Billy Badass with a gun is going to call himself Pee-wee?
More importantly, why are you going to keep so much cash in a fridge where everybody can go get it?
Well, I'm more focused on the name.
At least get a locking freezer, with a key or something.
That would make sense. That kind of cash, you should get a lock. Yeah, I could see that. I didn't invest in that. Okay, so that leads Liz to Navarro. They fight, and Liz does that old Warrior Gene standard where she fakes passing out and then beats that ass out of somebody. Loved it.
I don't know if that's necessarily Warrior Gene perspective.
It was a joke.
Well,
joke.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Then, because to me, what that implied was more like she's just pure adrenaline. She's remembering that fight or flight kind of perspective, and what's happening there is she's like, "Oh, I got to do it for Tom. Tom touched my hand, therefore I got to wake myself up and snap myself out of this to kind of kickstart herself back into doing something about the situation rather than being the victim again."
Yeah, I don't care what the reason was. I just loved that she faked passing out and then beat his ass.
I don't think she faked passing out. I think she was passing out. I think she did.
Totally faked passing out.
No, she was passing out, and that's why she's doing the dream sequence and remembering the same thing was happening to her.
Watched it 5 times. She did not fake pass. She was fake passing out. She was basically, because when she comes through, it isn't a, oh my God, I'm coming to my senses. It was a, oh, he bought it. Look. So she was doing that. She was playing the victim to get him to lower his guard.
She gets slammed head first in the same spot into that cabinet.
Don't agree with you. Disagree. Disagree.
I'm only 1 year removed from a traumatic head injury, and I get my head smashed in the exact same place. And then you show directorially the visions that she had and the remembrances that she had of that same injury that she had previously.
Motivation.
I think she was. Well, it's definitely motivation, but I think she's passing out.
Nope. Literally
passing out because of the re-injury to the same spot.
Go look at that when she opens her eyes and she has almost a wicked smile about it, because she is just like, yeah, he bought it.
I just think that's wicked strength. Like she's like, oh, I'm awake now. Move quick now. Do it.
Could be the old warrior gene. Could be that. But to me, it looked like she was totally fighting. You guys go decide. Go rewatch it and decide for yourself.
Team Troy, Team Aaron.
Either way, he ends up dead.
Exactly. He gone.
There you go. He dead. So we'll see how that plays out in the next episode. So are you? Well, no, wait. She did get one piece of information, so it wasn't all for naught. She did learn by the end that Nick was helping Tom, not the other way around, like she thought.
And this is like the big question of where you have to suspend disbelief. Like, are you really going to believe the guy who came into your house? Are you going to believe the criminal? I mean, he could just be feeding a bunch of BS. I think you believe him, to be quite honest. Like,
I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, why is that something that's worth lying about?
Because he lied about being there in the first place initially, but
I think at that point he felt like it didn't matter and he didn't care, and it wasn't really. I don't think it was a huge difference. I mean, it's a huge difference for her, but in terms of him killing the guy, it isn't going to matter one way or the other. I mean, he still killed him or led to his death.
True.
Should say. So it was pretty interesting. I think that's maybe we're about 16 episodes closer to finding out something about the bones now. Huh?
Yeah, we're episode 11, so we got 11 to go to the end of the season.
It better not be. I just want to know, is it a boy or a girl at this point? Just tell me something. Tell me something.
Well, I think it was John and TV Guide. That was a TV Guide interview where he said that the suitcase thing would be the finale of the season.
Are they going to answer it?
Well, he said that was going to be like the big thing. Like you're going to get like it's the closest to the mythology we'll get an answer for in that cliffhanger at the end of season 5. Is what the article said.
Excellent. I hope he's not
being a John. John's going to John.
I hope John's not going to John. Yeah. We'll see. I'll hold tight. I think they'll give me something by the end of the season.
I think they have to.
Yeah, I do think they have to. You can't introduce the Bones last season and not give me something.
I mean, we're at episode 100 and we know nothing at this point. Nothing.
Great segue. Guess what? We are on to episode 100. And you know what? Before we move into Red's rhetoric, because we got that, we've got some fan feedback and whatnot, we got to talk one more time. And we didn't mention Dembe because Dembe was kind of just being a bodyguard this episode, so he didn't really have anything to do.
And the driver. But episode 100 is next. And if you haven't listened before, then let's just reiterate. We were actually there live for the 100th episode, and for the party of the celebration, we spoke to every one of the major actors from the show. And next week, after the 100th episode airs, we're going to have our Blacklist episode talking about that show, just like we always do. And as we go through the characters, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, that's what we're doing. As we go through each character, we are going to play our interviews with those specific actors as those characters are talked about. Yes, that is the plan. And it was fun. It was such a great time to be there and experience everything that we got to experience that day. And then being able to hopefully see it come to fruition for what we're going to experience in next week's episode. It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of dark. It's a lot of humor. It's everything top to bottom. Like if you enjoyed the light parts of season 5, you're going to love next week. If you like the darker, serious parts of season 5, you're going to love next week. But at the end, I can tell you it's going to be one of Aaron's most favorite episodes ever. I just know it. Just know it.
You just know it in your heart?
In my heart of hearts. Aaron is going to totally love next week.
I can't wait to find out more. But please come back for our night. I mean, we've got a lot more of our show left. There's still more of our podcast left. But I just wanted to say that because I know some people like bail right when we get to Red's rhetoric. They don't listen to some of the stuff. So I want to tell you, be sure you come back because you're not going to want to miss next week's episode. You will not want to miss it. That's a Second Room reference in one episode. You're welcome. Now, we'll be back with Red's rhetoric right after this. Welcome to Smirk.
Each week, one of our hosts will write a story with a specific topic in mind.
After unraveling their tale, the fun begins as we identify and launch into a spirited discussion on the author's topic.
It's a meshing of creative storytelling, realistic discussion, and a healthy dose of humor.
Be sure to subscribe to Smirk on your favorite podcast app.
And visit our website at smirkpodcast.com.
This is the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk.
Hey, Dembe Loyals, this is Hisham Tawfiq. You are listening to Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Welcome to Red's Rhetoric, that part of the show where we play 2 scenes from this week's episode of The Blacklist, and then you get to vote which is your favorite on our poll in the website. That's right, 83% of you voted, and you got your practice on as Liz Alive won last week. This week, our first clip comes when Red talks to Cooper about the good life.
The informant's name is Howard Bishop, a staffer in Senator Cooligan's office.
Quick work, Harold. Celebratory drink? Harris makes a Ryan absinthe cocktail that could blind an elephant.
Nothing to celebrate yet.
Oh, that's delicious. Wealth is such a privilege. I've learned to love it. Well, it's not emotional, like hearing Maria Schneider's The Thompson Fields for the first time, or watching the sun set over the caldera in Santorini. But for pure, meaningless joy, nothing compares.
We didn't catch Bishop. He turned himself in, claiming to be a witness to a hit and run.
Do you know if he's sold the list yet?
No, nor who the buyer may be. We think he's selling it to an account holder, but we can't ID them. I'm hoping you can.
Elizabeth is back.
So I hear. How is she?
Determined to find Tom's killers.
That's understandable.
I'm the devil on one shoulder, you're the angel on her other. She's in troubled waters, Harold. Please help her to navigate them.
Our second clip comes when Red discusses body art.
Ooh, a fox in the henhouse, Herman. You'll have to keep a close watch on the chickens.
If anyone can put names to the numbers you gave me, it's Miss Isaacson.
I'm not going to.
Name your price.
I don't want your money.
What do you want?
Bite me.
A woman after my own heart. You're an anarchist. Did you know Charlie Chaplin was an anarchist? I've cultivated a healthy hatred for governments and rules and all the incumbent fetters. I understand. Oh, well, Herman, we tried. Perhaps next time. Wait a minute, what about Soji-san?
The tattoo artist?
I helped him secure a very rare dye several years ago.
I'm sorry, a tattoo artist?
A reclusive but visionary artist, which is all the more impressive considering he does his best work after drinking himself half blind. Otaru, Hokkaido Prefecture. You get me those names, I'll get you an appointment within the week. And if I'm lying, you can always hack into the bank and steal the whole omakase. I'm sure Soshi-san will do wonders for that whisper of unmarked flesh below your suprasternal notch.
Just get me the appointment, and I'll get you the names.
Perhaps Tweety Bird or Yosemite Sam, or a lady riding a monkey wrench.
Which was your favorite? If you were glad to see Red flush once again, vote #RedWealth. Or if you would love to see that sternum stenciled, vote #RedTattoo.
And we are back with Special Agent Intel. First up, Red or Rob. Red or Rob. I don't know which way you want to go.
2 out of 3 is still a pretty good batting average.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Rob, or NO. The Blacklist is back. What a great episode. Does anyone else think Red told Cooper about Ressler? Also, Liz does have something for sticking things in people's necks. That's a good point. This episode was dark, fast-paced, and moved the season arc forward. Cannot wait for episode 100 next week. Does anyone else think the whole Ressler-Prescott storyline is a nod to what we will learn about Ian Garvey's relationship with Red? Ooh. Like an allegory to their relationship? I suppose it's possible. Do you think Ressler wore wife beaters? I don't think so.
I mean, if you go with this concept of the ring, right? He's wearing this Navy ring that people said, hey, this is the same ring that we saw in the flashback when he's handing the bunny to little Liz in the closet. Yeah. So maybe there was something that Ian Garvey was holding over Red, potentially, back in the day. So maybe there is something there. It could be. I don't know. It's interesting.
We'll find out.
Julie Fromhart said, hey, I'm glad they resolved the Prescott line, but in doing so, they opened, or left closed actually, the Ressler and Cooper envelopes.
I really dug that. I thought that was kind of cool.
I got your back, you got mine.
Of course, I feel like that's going to be one of those things where at some point, one of their envelopes is going to get out somehow, and then it's going to be a race to get it before it gets to a DA or something.
I think it's going to be something that you never actually see what's in the envelope, because by the time the task force is over, that final episode's the final episode.
Or one of them dies and their envelope is found. That's when information about the other one comes out.
I don't like that.
Too TV for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ruins the character in death. I don't like that.
Okay. Well, George Nauman, it depends. Maybe one of the other characters acts or is the one that kills them, so therefore it's okay because it puts them in jail.
I don't like that either.
That would make them totally character betrayals. Okay.
Yes.
George Nauman says, I also am really curious about the ring on Ian Garvey's hand. They showed that again tonight. Someone had mentioned before it looked like a Naval Academy ring.
It is.
I was in the Navy. It is, yeah. I still think Evil Glenn is going to turn out to have either known Red back in his Navy days or have been in the house on the night of the fire, or both. It's possible. Sure.
Possible, definitely. Carrie Adler, glad to see Ressler get some plot. Have to say, interesting that Red asked for Cooper's help being Liz's angel. That didn't go well with Connolly.
He did, by the way.
Liz killed him. Plus, Ressler thanking Red for keeping him from crossing that line while Liz is out on her own pole vaulting in the same line tonight. Interesting dichotomy between the two. Wonder if next week we get another Red and Liz moment about being across the line in the dark, looking for the light.
Nate Giglio. While I thought the Ruin episode was a stellar yet quiet revelation of Liz's transformation into her inner Red and Katerina, tonight's episode pressed the nitro button. Oh, there's a Packer reference, huh? Remember when we had a nitro package? That worked out great. Anyway, tonight's episode pressed the nitro button full blast, and boy, was it a gas. I'm glad we got a multi-layered episode that could have been hard to juggle and edit, but it was so good, so breakneck, so masterly crafted that this episode is on my top 10 list of the Blacklist. The parallel journeys between Ressler and Liz were amazing. While Ressler skirted his dark side and came back to regain his honor and integrity, Liz is lost in her despair and is losing the innocence we saw 4.5 years ago. Is Liz going to a place where she'll never come back from? Bravo to Diego and Megan for some of the best acting in the entire series. Wow. High applause.
Is it a parallel story or is it a perpendicular story?
Who gives a rat's ass?
I'm just wondering, because she's like going down the dark path and he's going down the light path. That would be...
You know what? Why don't we give Nate the benefit of the doubt?
Yep.
He's probably right. I don't trust you.
That's a very acute theory. What?
Take your big words and...
Wendy Davies, I really enjoyed this episode. Eventually, first 20 minutes almost had me shutting. Hey, I've seen this comment out there that the first 20 minutes almost had me shutting down my laptop and going back to sleep.
What?
The first 20 minutes was a bit confusing. You have to admit. You get the club to the terrorists to the accounts to the...
I thought that opening was kick-ass.
Well, the opening
what
was
are you talking about?
I agree the opening was kick-ass, but the rest of it to get to the meat of the story was a little bit convoluted in a way.
Oh, man. I just do not agree.
We talked about it at the top of the show. Like, Troy, you explain it. I don't understand it. You explain it.
Yeah, I got that, but I mean, I still really, I was riveted the entire episode, so all right.
By the way, we haven't said it this episode, so my second favorite word behind alias is fringe. Yep, I said it.
Why did that come up?
That was the opening. That was the cold open. It was totally a fringe episode.
Ah, gotcha.
Totally a fringe episode. All right. Then after that 20 minutes, it got very interesting. Love the whole Ressler plot and touching base back on the Mako Tanita episode. I believe in some way Red was a wrestler back in the day. Hey, look, she agrees with you. Until the darkness took away his light.
Exactly, Wendy. I'm with you.
Liz being a badass is a welcome change. She appears to be totally disengaged from everyone in the task force. I like the comment Red made to Cooper about the devil and angel on Liz's shoulder. The exchange between Cooper and Ressler, comrades in arms, always will have each other's back. But I do think Cooper knows way more than he's letting on. We are already aware that he's not so squeaky clean, and I still think he's a dark horse. Bye-bye, Prescott. You are no match. Get it? To Reddington. Bring on the 100th. Let's party.
I don't agree with the totally disengaged from everyone. I feel like she immediately took to Samar when she saw her. She just wanted to talk nothing about work.
Yeah.
That's all.
Personal, yes. Work, no.
Yep, that's what I got. And lastly, Somea. I am loving this Dark Liz. Season 5 is just getting better and better. I would rank it with the season 1 when Lizzie pounced the 200-pound man onto a table. I shouted, hell yeah, don't mess with Liz. Can't wait for next episode. Loved how Ressler's story ended. Man, people seem to really love this episode.
It was an accidental death. Accidental.
So you need her to just blatantly... I mean, didn't she kill enough people last week?
She was still... Again, it was self-defense. She's fighting for her life. She knew she was in trouble, and so she's literally defending herself. That's different. That's different than Colon. She has to go back to the Tom Connolly, where she physically pulls the trigger in cold blood to truly be the full Dark Liz.
So exactly where does I made ice cubes with shaved glass in it? Where does that rate? Because she knew that before her doggy was dead. So that seems pretty dark to me.
She's profiling. She was able to profile them as they come in.
Okay, but I'm just saying that seems pretty dark because that's not self-defense. They didn't make a move on her at that point.
Yeah, but he's not going to kill him immediately.
Ice don't freeze right away. It takes some time. She planned that one out.
I don't think she froze that ice until the second time when she was filling up the ice chest when they were all sitting in the kitchen together.
I'm just saying. She's gone dark, man. I mean, yes, I get what you're saying on the killing part. They're definitely painting it so she can get out of it. It's self-defense a lot of the times. I mean, she's being the aggressor, but she's also kind of in a self-defensive kind of way. But still, I don't call it dark as so much as I call it following the path that she's on.
Because if you're truly, what's the word, imitating Reddington, then when she comes into Pee-wee and shoots him in the leg, Reddington shoots him in the leg before Pee-wee even gets to speak. I think that's the difference. She waited until Pee-wee drew on her before she shot. I think that's the difference between Reddington and Liz. She's not full Reddington yet.
Okay.
Just want to put that out there.
All right. Fair enough.
Yet.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of our show. We got, we've got 100 coming up, and it is going to be some exciting stuff. There's going to be a lot of fanfare next week. I want to say it one more time. You have to come back next week because you're going to hear some really cool stuff.
Yes, subscribe, whatever podcast player you use so you don't miss the episode. You can listen from the website. You can listen from the app. You can download it on iOS or Android. Just search for the Blacklist Exposed. But subscribing is the best way because then you never miss an episode. You don't forget. Hey, it was on this night, like Aaron did last night. Hey, it's 7:20. I should be watching Blacklist.
I did. I forgot that because I keep forgetting that it's on so early now.
I keep forgetting it's Wednesday. That was my problem. I'm still not out of vacation mode yet.
Oh man, let me tell you, it's up against another show that I love, and it's killing me. It's killing me, Smalls. But I've actually watched Blacklist over the other one.
I'm proud of you.
Man, it hurts a little bit. I feel like I'm betraying my own personal childhood. I really do. Or young adulthood. More like young adulthood.
It's like that girlfriend that broke up with you and then 6 years later came back and you saw her at a bar and you're like, hey, maybe I should get back together with that. But I have this current girlfriend. So I think you did the right thing. You stayed with the current girlfriend.
No, because this comparison, I'm going to see both of them. That's really how this works. I'm just going to see them on different days. So I think you're making me sound like a pig. I don't appreciate it. All right. So that's going to conclude this episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Blacklist GSM, where we live tweet during the East Coast feed, and we use the show's hashtag, which is The Blacklist.
Don't forget to follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, and join the Facebook group. Just search for The Blacklist Exposed. Talk about the show, the podcast, or your favorite corner drugstore memory. Get it?
You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or your favorite podcast app of choice. And you don't want to miss next week because James Spader, Megan Boone, everybody's going to be here. You can also listen from the website. But if you're really on the go, make sure you download our app for iOS and Android, powered by Spreaker. You will also find all the intel and analysis about this episode for The Informant by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening, guys. I'm glad you made it all the way through. I apologize that you have to listen to Troy talk also. But, there's not much I can do about that. But don't forget to answer our profiling question, which is, what is Cooper's secret in the envelope? What is it? Is it maybe that he is Katerina?
I don't think that's it.
I think it's possible.
I think maybe he writes with felt pen. That could be a secret.
I think in your world, it's possible Cooper is Katerina.
No, definitely not.
I think so.
There's no logic there.
There's no logic anywhere where you're concerned. So let's just say science and say it could happen.
And we'll say see you next week for the 100th.
Take care, guys.
Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at 5popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.